Welcome back to Kiwi Bred. This year will be the final time Dubawi stallion Makfi shuttles to Westbury Stud, sold to Japanese interest just as he was hitting his straps here in New Zealand. Kiwi Bred spoke with Russell Warwick about the success of Makfi and what lies ahead. Makfi has certainly made his mark on the New Zealand breeding industry.
Marky Mark is pushing his way through. Rikendo's right there with Selfie, then Strata Lady. Great line up here. Marky Mark's got the lead from Rikendo's trying hard. Our Rocky's flying late, but it's Marky Mark's day. Marky Mark won it.
Producing the champion 2-year-old of his year, Marky Mark, and Group 1 Australian Oaks winner, Sophia Rosa.
His first crop, he ended up with a champion 2-year-old of Marky Mark, and then to follow through with a champion 3-year-old filly in Sophia Rose for the next season.
Sophia Rose is lifting, ambience for the last shot of them. Jamaica is trying, Sophia Rose hits the lead. Sophia Rose in front from Believe It Ambience, and Sophia Rose takes out the Australian Oaks.
That was a huge buzz for us, having her here on the farm and breeding her here, and probably making up for a little bit for the disappointment at Wellington, and you know, quite rightly she should have lost that race. But to be able to then go to the Australia at the end of a campaign was a marvellous job by Stephen Marsh and the team, and she's not the easiest, it's been well documented, but it shows her toughness. You know, I thought the fall that she had in the 8 carat could have been a race threatening. You might not have seen her again, but I think to come out a week later and do what she did, 2 months later and do what she did, and then 3 months later go to Australia and do what she did, gosh, she's got a big ticker.
Russell, 2 horses you spoke about, Marky Mark being a Group 1 2-year-old winner and Sophia Rosa a classic winner over 2,400 metres. Does that say something about his versatility?
100%, and I think we've seen that with Dubawi. I think he's had a Breeders' Cup juvenile winner, and yet he's had 2-mile winners and Dubai World Cup winners and things like that. And when you look at Dubawi in Australia, he's had the likes of Shrikandi win a Stradbroke, and so I think Dubawi's extremely versatile himself. And I guess when you look at Makfi, he resembles Dubawi a lot. His pedigree resembles Dubawi, so probably not totally surprised that he can get a 2-year-old and get a 3-year-old, and also get a 1.5 mile horse. So you know, makes him a very exciting stallion prospect going forward.
Makfi has spent the past 6 Southern Hemisphere breeding seasons shuttling to New Zealand, but a recent agreement between his owners Qatar Bloodstock and the Japan Bloodstock Breeders Association has meant 2016 will be the last year he will serve at Westbury Stud.
Qatar Bloodstock obviously paid a lot of money for Makfi at the end of his racing career, and we were fortunate enough to partner with him when he shuttled to this part of the world. But the Japanese offer was extremely lucrative, and one that they felt they couldn't turn down. We had a group of New Zealand breeders that we put together to try and buy the Southern Hemisphere rights, and made a substantial offer for those, and unfortunately it didn't match the Japanese offer for the collective portion of the whole horse. So we've got to make hay while the sun shines. We've still got the rest of this season to go, and we've had 6 seasons of him standing in New Zealand now, and he's had a champion 2-year-old in his first crop, and an Oaks winner and a New Zealand Filly of the Year also from that same crop. 4 stakes winners in Australia, and I'm sure as fortune will have it, they will just continue to get better and win more stakes races, and we're not going to have access to them. So yeah, disappointing on one hand, but I think on the other we've got to count ourselves lucky that we've had him for 6 seasons and retained a lot of his bloodstock.
By Dubawi, who is asserting himself as one of the world's leading sires, and out of Green Desert mare Dalal, Makfi's bloodlines have worked well in the Southern Hemisphere.
I think it's an affinity with mares and compatibility. I think he's out of a Green Desert mare, and we know through the likes of Cape Cross and Desert Sun and Volksrad how Green Deserts work exceptionally well in this part of the world. So I think the Dubawi, he's got a lovely pedigree, and then to have the Green Desert on the dam side has really made him very compatible and very acceptable to a lot of our broodmare population.
Dubawi sort of stamped himself as one of the world's best stallions these days. How much of an impact is that having on Makfi?
Oh look, I think Dubawi still isn't really given the credit in this part of the world for what he has achieved. I think he was the first stallion to sire something like 80-odd group winners in his career as fast as what he did. Overnight he just sired his 115th stakes winner, and he's standing for a fee of 225,000 sterling. So there's not too many stallions in this part of the world standing for 500,000. So I think when you consider the enormity of what he's done up worldwide, Dubawi, I think he's got Group 1 winners in something like 7 or 8 different countries. He's a phenomenal stallion, and I think he's going to have an influence for a long time to come.
We spoke about the versatility of the runners, but is there anything typical about what he throws?
Look, once again, Dubawi throws them all over the show, and it's probably been, in the early years, one of the hardest things with Makfi was that people didn't understand what they look like. He can leave a lovely big scopy rangy horse, or he can leave a very small filly that has got no scope at all. And I remember before we got Makfi, I had a Dubawi filly that we sold, and Bart Cummings come to have a look at it, and he said to me, he said, "What's your Dubawi like?" And I said, "Oh, yeah, good walking filly." And he said, "Well, unless it's ugly, small, and walks well, I don't want to see it." And that's exactly what she was, and that's what a lot of the Dubawis are like. They're exceptionally good walkers. They're not always big horses, and yet massive girths on them, which I think you see with Makfi and a lot of his progeny, is that he leaves a tremendous girth on his horse and hopefully plenty of heart room.
A physically imposing horse, Makfi had all the attributes for success on the racetrack. Under the care of French trainer Mikel Dangles, the son of Dubawi was a dual Group 1 winner, triumphant over gallopers the class of Goldacova and Canford Cliffs.
He won the 2,000 guineas, and I think probably the run that really stamped him gave him his world ranking was when he won the Jacques Marat in France, because he was a 3-year-old and raced against the older horses, and the world benchmark that year was a mare called Goldacova, and she raced 6 times in Group 1 level around the world. She won all of them bar the Jacques Marat, and Makfi beat her by 2 lengths in that. So when you're beating probably one of the best race mares in the world as a 3-year-old, and Parko Boy ran 3rd, I think. So, you know, they were both high-class horses and older horses that ran 2nd and 3rd behind him. So I think that gave him his world ranking, and, you know, there's not too many opportunities that we get the best horse in the world standing in New Zealand, and fortunately he's come here and delivered. Russell, what's on the horizon with Makfi now, with runners on the racetrack? Oh, look, he's got some really exciting young horses out there. You know, I think Eleonora, we saw her win last week for Murray Baker, and she's now 3rd favourite for the VRC Oaks, and you know, she looks a strong chance in a race like that. In the coming years, it will be through his daughters that the New Zealand breeding industry benefits. One in particular is Eleonora, fakes suggesting she might be the next to claim a coveted Group 1 victory for her sire, given his impending departure. Makfi is standing his final season at Westbury Stud at $25,000 plus GST. Breeders have understood that he's still very good value at that, and haven't waned from supporting him this year. Yes, disappointing news for Westbury Stud, losing the services of Makfi, but they still retain plenty of depth to their stallion roster. We're back here at Westbury Stud next week to check out the first crop of foals of exciting young sire El Rocker. Right now we take another short break here on Kiwi Bred. When we return, we're at the Oak Stud to find out how Niagara has settled into his new home.